Kentucky versus Florida, big time SEC matchup. The winner improves to 2-0 in conference play, and this game is going to have a big part in shaping the SEC East division. Now, Florida is going on the road to take on a Kentucky team that is a 2.5-point underdog. And Kentucky, so far up to this point, they haven't really proven anything. They haven't really played a great team. They beat Vanderbilt last week, but this is their first true test against a pretty solid Florida team. I think that at this point of the season, we can all agree that Florida is a better team that most of us expected them to be. They beat Tennessee 29-16, and they got a really good defense. Their defensive coordinator, Austin Armstrong, is one of the youngest defensive coordinators in all of Power 5, and for a very good reason, because this is the best that this Florida defense has played at, or the best level that this Florida defense has played at in years. It's been a very long time since the Florida Gators have had even a defense that you could consider to be remotely solid. And offensively, they're not really a team that's going to generate a lot of explosive plays in the passing game. Graham Mertz is just going to do a good enough job to put you in position to win the game. If this gets into a situation when Florida needs to go point for point with Kentucky and this game becomes a shootout, or let's say Kentucky is able to take away the run game for Florida and they have to force Graham Mertz to win this game for the Gators, then I think Florida is probably going to lose this game. We saw a similar situation week 1 play out where Florida was unable to run the football and Graham Mertz had to throw the football a lot of times, and Florida didn't have too much success offensively. Both of these two programs have really good defenses. They're really good on the defensive line. I think that Florida's defensive line has a little bit more depth than Kentucky's, but Kentucky probably has the more talented defensive line. They got a lot of 5 and 4 stars on this defensive line, and Mark Stoops and many people on this Kentucky coaching staff are really excited about how good this defensive line is going to be this year. Now, for Florida defensively, I wonder how that secondary is going to do against Kentucky's wide receivers. Kentucky has a really good group of wide receivers. They got 2 really good sophomore wideouts and Dane Key and Barrion Brown, who I'm really excited to watch in this game. And Devin Leary is going to be the key to determining if Kentucky is going to be able to beat Florida by more than one possession. You see, this is a game that I wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky won convincingly. It really just depends on if Devin Leary ends up being able to play at a high level, because up to this point, he kind of has struggled. Against Vanderbilt, he only completed 51% of his passes. He threw 2 interceptions and only 1 touchdown. And this is a really stingy Florida defense. Now, their secondary, although it does have a pretty good amount of talent, they've been prone to giving up a good amount of big plays. They gave us some big plays against Tennessee in the passing game. They also gave up some big throws against Utah week 1. So if Devin Leary can have a good performance, then Kentucky has a pretty good chance at being able to have a good day offensively. And Florida isn't the kind of offense that's going to be able to keep up with you if you're just having a great day. Let's say Kentucky gets the 30 points in this game. I think that is pretty much wraps for Florida. Florida isn't the kind of offense that's built to go back and forth with you in high-scoring affairs. Now, if their run game gets going, then they can keep up with you that way. But if you're Kentucky and you force Graham Mertz to have to beat you with his arm, you definitely like your chances. Now, Florida, the way that you want this game to go is that you want to keep this game as low scoring as possible, similar to Tennessee. And you definitely have a lot of confidence in Florida's ability to do that, because you held Tennessee's offense to 16 damn points. Okay, I don't give a damn if it was at home, on the road, wherever it is. Tennessee has one of the most explosive offenses in all of college football. If you're a Kentucky fan, you got to give Florida props for that. And I do think that Florida's defense should have a good performance in this game. I said that this game has the potential to kind of be a little bit of a one-sided affair if Devin Leary and this Kentucky offense can get rolling. But the thing is, I don't really know if this is the game where Devin Leary really finds a rhythm. This is a really good defense. They got a really good pass rush, and Kentucky's offensive line, I don't know just how improved is it this year compared to how it was last year. Last year, their offensive line was dog shit. And normally, Kentucky has a really good offensive line. So the performance that they got out of their offensive line last year was kind of uncharacteristic from a Bob Stoops coach team. This year, this offensive line hasn't really given up too many sacks, but they haven't gone up against a defensive line as talented as what Florida's is. As a matter of fact, this is the best team that Kentucky has played up to this point. Florida has already been battle tested. They beat Tennessee. They were in a little bit of a grinder with Utah. Even though they lost that game, it wasn't a one-sided affair. It was a game that was pretty close. Florida did have a shot at being able to win it at a point. It's just that their offense wasn't able to execute against what looks to be one of the best defenses in college football that Utah has. Kentucky's defense, is it as good as Utah's? I don't think that it is, but I do think that this is one of the better defenses in the SEC. So I'm expecting this game to be a low-scoring affair, and it's probably going to be decided by which team's quarterback makes less mistakes, and that probably is going to be Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz, up to this point, has done a really good job at doing what Billy Napier and his coaching staff have asked of him, and that's being a good game manager. He hasn't had any Heisman moments or superstar level performances, but I think that he's been pretty solid in any single game that Florida has played in up to this point this year. For Kentucky, Devin Leary, I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought that Devin Leary was going to be a slight upgrade over Will Levis. The thing with Will Levis is that he was too reckless, especially late in games, and Devin Leary haven't really seen the improvement. Plus, they brought back Leon Cohen, that's their offensive coordinator, and you thought him coming back would kind of have this offense looking a little bit better, but the passing game still hasn't really gotten in rhythm. The run game, is going to be there, but Florida is really good at stopping the run. So something's going to have to give. If I have to give you a prediction, I like Florida with the upset, believe it or not. A couple of months ago, if you would have asked me who I would have picked to win this game, I would have told you Kentucky. But after how this season has played out so far, I don't think Kentucky has played like the team I thought they would be this year. I thought Devin Leary would be the best quarterback in the SEC. He hasn't looked like that. He hasn't even looked like the quarterback that we saw when he was playing for NC State. And I think that Florida's defense probably could give Kentucky's offense a little bit of a tough time, even though Kentucky does have the personnel to do some damage against that Florida secondary. And Devin Leary, I don't trust him to be able to take care of the football. He may be a better quarterback on paper than Graham Mertz. If you want to say Kentucky has the quarterback advantage in this game, I would agree with you. But Graham Mertz, even though he may not be as talented or proven as Devin Leary, at least he's shown that he's capable of being able to get the job done as long as the run game is there for Florida, and you can trust him to take care of the football. So I like Florida to win this game. Kentucky's a 2.5-point favorite. Kind of surprises me, but I just think Florida right now, they've looked like the better football team up to this point this year than what Kentucky has. And it's scary because Kentucky hasn't really played anybody this good up to this point.